I love rodents. That's probably obvious given I'm a rat, but hey, how many humans actually love humanity in general? Feels like most don't. Only humanity I love is Hugh the manatee. But that's me getting off track. My love for the small hairy babies comes from my best friend Alfredo, who raised 23 little mice with me over the years, who in their very short lifespans embodied life better than any creature I knew. Sweetness, rudeness, loving, scared, curious, cuddly, so hungry and playful. I really learned to love mice. But why am I sharing this with you all? To help emphasize just how happy it made me to come across Tales of Iron, a game where you play as a little rat warrior as he strives to protect his kingdom from the invading frog folk. It's super brutal and incredibly difficult, but it's also full of adorable rats and worthwhile combat. Then I got a suggestion to play the game, and that was enough for me. Throughout the game, there's a wide variety of armor and shields you can acquire to withstand the many blows headed your way. I'm not allowed to use any of them. The starting shield can't be unequipped, and I have to equip it in the first place, but I can't ever equip a better shield, and I'm never allowed to wear any armor in combat, keeping my defense at the minimum level. Despite not being recommended for the first playthrough, I will do all of this on Bloody Whisker difficulty because I'm too stupid to be kind to myself and play it on an easier difficulty. I've squeaked out enough of an explanation, let's get to the painful journey. Today is the day! My father, King Radis, is choosing his successor to the throne, and while everyone believes my older and much larger brother Dennis will be the victor, I know it shall be me, Reggie the Underrat. My squire Doug demands I armor up, but I've spent my whole life listening to the legends of my father beating back the frogfolk aggressors after centuries of war, and when the legends will be told about me, I want to ensure they're even more awesome. What's more awesome than King Reggie the Untouchable, who needed no armor as he slayed all the kingdom's foes in woes? Well, maybe not untouchable, but surely the legends can edit out my copious use of bug juice to ease my wounds when things go awry. Dennis may be big and strong, but he's also slow and easily winded, always too confident that he can beat me just cause I'm a little littler than he is. Well, no matter how much he pushes me around, I can take it, heal my wounds, and prove more worthy than he for the crown. I dreamed about this for so long and it is finally here. Now everyone will see how great I can be. Every legend needs a start, but I never imagined mine would begin with the sudden murder of my father and the ransacking of my kingdom. Frog archers and foot soldiers patrol the castle grounds, but thankfully they underestimate me by my size and attack one by one, giving me the chance to dispatch each before another attacks. Maybe it would have been easier had I a better weapon than a spatula, but a hero must make do with what he has. Doug and Dennis still live, and I have the crown. It's rightfully mine, but it doesn't feel that way. It feels wrong. When this invasion is over and justice has been done, I'm sure it will feel right then. Still, despite wanting to rip it off my head, I have no choice and must wear it while I battle to free our town from frog occupation. It provides as much defense as you'd imagine a small crown would provide, and so makes no difference in the seemingly endless battle against archers and spearmen. But still, enough blood has stained it for my liking, and I hate that it's more of my blood than the frog's blood. The stories made it seem so easy to kill hordes of frogs at once, but I'm finding fighting even just two at once is proven to strain my abilities. At least the spearmen have a great flaw when they rush me, making it easy to parry them and slay them while they're downed, leaving the archers vulnerable to finish off. With the survivors saved, the crown can unburden me and I race to repel the frog counterattack as they seek to retake the town with their biggest soldier, Clubba. Despite being far bigger than even Dennis, the brute is no slouch at speed and able to crush me under his weight with every hop. I'd hate to let my legend into a big dumb frog named Clubba. My ghost could never handle the embarrassment. Big, strong, and unexpectedly nimble is a combo I didn't expect, but caution is my ally, letting me poke away at the monster's great health 2 stabs at a time, wearing it down and toppling it before it squishes me flat. But the safety of the townsfolk may be temporary if I don't continue to push back the war parties of frogs while I seek out my brother the chef. In all those stories my father told me of his exploits and heroes of old, I never really paid attention to how many bodies of our kinsmen lined the road to greatness, and I certainly have no wish to see my brothers join that growing list. Sending a legendary frog spearman in their place is something I have less of a problem with, especially if Lancelot here has the key to my brother's freedom. These frogs have pathetic legends, as sure, Lans is deadly, but much more reliant on using his overwhelming numbers to dispatch me instead of doing it himself. What kind of legend has the others do the dirty work for him? He's fast, but he's also easy to parry, and batter while on the ground like every other spearman, and he loves to make a show of his attacks, making him only slightly easier than Clubba to bring down. It would have been over much faster if not for his warband lending him aid. But hey, he's dead, my brother's safe and free, and now I have a bow to put those out-of-reach victories within my grasp. Freeing the Ranger Fort from the frogs, I make the friendship of Robin the Ranger, providing me with my first two-handed weapon for maximum force to frog face. Not only that, but Robin is a brave ranger, willing to go into battle with me to free my brother the Smith, and I must admit, it does feel good to have someone watching my back in battle. With his help, I can find my brother alive, but I can't say the same for so many of my rat folk. Their savage murderer, the frog captain Blocky Magoo, is responsible, and in my rage, I ignore sense and strike aggressively at him, leaving myself vulnerable to his powerful area attacks. The killer captain makes it difficult to stay close to him, but Robin has provided me with the means to handle this fight rather quickly compared to the other frog leaders I've fought so far. By letting Magoo come to me, I can smash him into the ground and beat him while he's stunned, escaping before he can crush me. When he pulls out his sword to make up for his failure, my bow can go to work, tearing apart his defense. No longer even trying to avoid my attacks, the captain repeats my earlier mistake by flying into a rage, making it easier than ever to block his strikes, leaving him vulnerable to counterattack. With his demise, the frog's assault has been driven back, all my brothers are safe, and my people can begin to rebuild as we brace for the next step in this war. This is no time to rest on my laurels, and I'm not the kind of monarch that leaves the danger to my people when I have the means to do something about it. The land is crawling with dangers, as the bugs have become unruly with so many corpses to feed on, and someone needs to take them all out. I think I'm okay though with the world forgetting the time King Reggie got covered in bug guts as he barely held his own against them. It's not really the way I care to be remembered, but someone has to do the dirty work, and my people have been through enough. The Mozzie Queen and King both have to be hunted down and slain to put an end to this infestation, and both disgusting monarchs put up more of a fight than any frog leader has. I'm not sure if that says more about how weak the frogs are, or how powerful these bugs are, but I do know I'm the one hurting for it. Without armor to hide behind, every blow is enough to bring me close to death, so speed is the greatest danger against me, as it's the one advantage I seek to have over my foes. The Mozzie King is able to slam me far faster than I can move, so I have to predict his strikes before he attacks, or be ready to suffer his sting. But thankfully, the longer the fight goes on, the more worn down the king becomes, and the slower his attacks are as he tries to cover more distance with them. If I can see the attacks coming with enough time to spare, I can avoid them and win. Though the Mozzie Queen does not care if I see her coming. Her ginormous size makes avoiding her landings quite difficult, and I could certainly live without getting bug butt juice sprayed all over me every few moments. If my father ever lived through something like this, I don't blame him for skipping over details such as this. Legends are certainly much cleaner than reality is proving to be. Despite her massive size, the Mozzie Queen is much safer to fight in most cases if I stay close to her so I can be ready to dodge past her far-reaching hits, and while my shield is going to need to be washed extra hard, it can absorb most of her spray. I can only imagine how much harder both of these pests would have been had I not been wielding the most powerful one-handed weapon in the land. But the fight to earn this weapon had proven harder than any other by a long shot. A bit earlier, while investigating the disappearance of the castle bard in the catacombs, I expected only more bugs to be my problem. But shockingly, undead rats roam these tombs as well. Seems my father had more secrets than he ever let on, and it's my responsibility to fix those errors. While exploring the extent of this unnatural mistake, I stumbled upon the grave of Ratnor Rodinson, the ultimate legendary hero of old, a god among rats. This would be the coolest discovery of my short rat life. If he wasn't now an angry, mindless, undead monstrosity trying to take my head off with a throw of his hammer. 104 times I can see myself fall before the mighty foe, as my strength and speed is nothing compared to this god's onslaught. Most times I'm dead before I can make much of an impact. No enemy in my adventures felt more like I was in a dance, as Ratnor moved from one move to the next seamlessly, only providing me a chance to fight back as he retrieved his hammer. I wasn't above resorting to poison to try and even the playing field, but unless I get imbued with godly powers myself, I don't see that playing field ever coming close to evening out. Which is why it hurts physically and emotionally when Ratnor raises undead spearmen to help him if I can inflict enough damage upon him in the first place. Fighting the god is hard enough without two undead throwing themselves at me. My greatest hope is that Ratnor would destroy them himself with his lightning attacks, as long as I ensure I don't get caught in those strikes myself. Even legless, that just means the god is eye level to me, still posing plenty of danger, but by then, he's also the most reckless with his attacks. Something about losing your legs tends to tick people off, making it much easier to know when it's safe to unload on him. I don't know if putting the old hero to rest will make much of a difference for my people, but it not only felt right to do and gave me an amazing hammer, it also made me a better fighter, and I feel more worthy to wield the crown than I did before coming across him. I'd take more time to thank the god, but I have to get out of this tomb and ice my whole body after that beatdown. But a king has his duties, and so rest wouldn't be mine yet until the other major undead foe down here is slain. The first war chief of the frogs, Redwart, has risen, and I'm far less honored to fight him than I was with Ratnor. Especially because he's as disgusting a battle as the bugs are. Vomiting acid on your enemies in combat may be an effective tactic, but is it really worth the win? At least it's easier to see coming than getting straight up punched, so I may actually prefer it. Redwart doesn't take too long to prove himself as the second greatest danger I've faced yet, as he easily squishes me, comboing me into the grave with a follow-up punch. Proves that just because I have a legendary hammer, it doesn't automatically make me a legendary hero, but there's nothing to do except persevere and try and keep my distance. Though the bard does not help, at least he's here to sing about my battle, and if killing a giant undead frog from the distant past isn't worthy of a legend, I don't know what is. With the undead put to rest and the bugs slain, my labor never ends, as the frogs assault our minds. But at least I'm not alone this time. Dennis joins me, and while he's not the unstoppable juggernaut I always saw him as growing up, I'm happy to have him by my side. If only our father could see us beating back the frogs as a family. I'd imagine he'd be beaming with pride. Maybe a little less pride if he sees the ground give way beneath me, trapping me far below. Perhaps I shouldn't have been jumping so much on the broken bridge earlier, but risk-taking and curiosity have always been my nature. I have no wish to let my legend end down here in the dark with my people doomed to die above, so I must keep moving. With my hammer in hand, the bugs that pop up are just asking to be crushed, and pressing on, I come across bizarre tech hidden down here. More than that, I find the owner of said tech, Jay the Mole, electrician of the Bolshevik Republic, a whole kingdom hidden beneath the earth. Jay's surprisingly quite friendly, ready to help me the moment he meets me, and with his powerful gun, his help is something I'm very grateful for. Another great big bug, the Grub Mother, opposes our traveling down here, but she's her biggest enemy, as she tries to blast us with explosive, eggs, I think, that I send flying back at her, allowing me to tear chunks off her with minimum risk. But while she's not much of a threat, the same can't be said for what I come across in the mole's home. In order to supply my people with needed gold and prove myself the ultimate warrior, I choose to partake in arena fights against the mole's chosen champions. If I had known the amount of suffering awaiting me in this small arena, I wonder if I'd have been more hesitant to enter into it. Starting me off with Mole Mysterio, I only had some trouble, as the mole has far more acrobatic moves than I'd ever witnessed. But what he had in speed, he lacked in durability, meaning it wouldn't take many swings of my hammer to remove him. The second mole had a special love for his gun, but that surprisingly wasn't the main threat, as the much more mundane weapon of the chair to the face proved far harder to avoid. Still, with only one dangerous move and very limited durability, he wouldn't take much longer than Mysterio to beat. I've always figured speed is my greatest asset, but as Macho Mole, the large, seemingly slow mole proves, speed is not to my advantage when it truly counts. Lumbering when not an attack, but more than fast enough when attacking, Macho's long reach and very punishing strength meant I had very little room for error. There was no real complexity to the big mole's attacks. More than not, he relied on me over-predicting his attacks and moving into his deadly strikes, but I find my instinct to avoid death a habit very hard to break. It doesn't help that once the big mole starts moving aggressively, he doesn't care to relent, making it easy for me to slip up just enough after avoiding most of his attacks. Even as I improved and reduced how often I would fall for his attacks, all I had to do was get caught up in the start of one of his combos, and that would be it for me. Of course, sooner or later, like 75 failures later, this rat finally has enough control to keep from rushing into further strikes and is able to put the troublesome warrior into the ground. With the arena conquered, I thought perhaps I'd feel more worthy, but seeing all the ways I could fall in battle, all the losses mounting in my head even after going in and winning, I felt the furthest thing from worthy. The reptilian stalker that sought my head down here in the sewers didn't make me feel much more worthy either, as I experienced dozens of losses against it. Far less than Macho, mainly thanks to its very parryable claw attacks, but still far too easy to get crushed under its leaps and drops. When it proves so difficult to stay close to these beasts, the value of the bow can't be understated to even the odds. I really would love it if every other creature didn't try to vomit or explode on me. I'm never getting clean again after all this. With the help of Jay, I can get back to the surface and push back the frog attack with ease, but at far too great a cost. The frogs have stolen Dennis away, and I can't reach them without a gas mask, something the moles can provide, for a price. Meaning to pay that price, I must set my feet back into the arena once again. The first to be set against me is not one, but two foes, Mysterio and a large shielded mole. If my first few visits to the arena made me feel unworthy, this one fight alone will hammer that feeling in as deep as it can go as I struggle to keep up with the two of them. Mysterio is as fast as ever, but still quite vulnerable to being parried and smashed with repeated blows from my hammer. But with the aid of his large friend, I wouldn't be taking victory for a couple hours. A couple hours filled with 128 losses as I proved inadequate in avoiding the shielded mole. His moveset is nothing complicated to learn, but then again, no foe's range of moves have been too complicated to understand. But I'm learning repeatedly. It doesn't matter if I know what the enemy will likely do, I lack the speed and the skill to respond properly. My windows of attack are incredibly tiny, and my ability to withstand damage is minuscule. If I can somehow withstand the double trouble, the arena champion Hulk Mulligan would never let me see the light of victory. Even if the first half of his battle is won heavily in my favor, as his wild attacks follow an exact pattern that I can properly respond to, the second half is anything but easy, as I can't seem to escape the range and speed of his blows, no matter what I do, beyond luck favoring me. Luck can only shield me so much though, and my fate seems sealed in all possibilities, without wearing armor to endure the blows just enough to prevail. As the losses stack up, hundreds of losses in this arena alone, my spirit crumbles. Growing up, I always imagined that in order to be great, I just had to want it more than the other guy, and I always wanted it more. I wanted to be king more than Dennis wanted to take me seriously in combat. I wanted to save my people more than the frogs wanted to kill us. I wanted to beat all the bugs and beasts in my way even more than they wanted to live. Or so I thought. Here I know my want is a need to save my brother, a need to help my kingdom, and a desperate want to be a legend. But no matter how much I want to win, no matter how much I need to win, I don't. These arena warriors fight for glory and money, something far less worthy than anything I fight for, I'd wager, and yet they always win. My view on all the legends I grew up on was wrong. It doesn't matter if I care, want, or need it more. What matters is if I have the skill, strength, and speed to outmatch my foes. Even knowing everything they can do doesn't seem to matter. I was a naive and foolish rat to believe otherwise. And yet, I keep getting right back up, and I keep walking right back into that blood-soaked arena. maybe there is something to be said about wanting it more. It's what keeps me in the fight despite how many times I'm beat down and want to stay down. It's what gets me back on my feet, and it's what keeps me moving better than any rejuvenating bug juice can do. The shielded mole can be killed through very carefully honed practice and measured responses to his attacks, but some enemies like the champion just refuse to be outplayed. So maybe I don't have the strength, skill, or speed to beat him. That's becoming really clear. That's okay. This gun I found can be the great equalizer. I doubt this will do wonders for my legend, but all that matters now is getting to Dennis. The last foe of the arena does me the courtesy of being just another shielded enemy, and I have more than enough experience on how to handle him. With the gas mask attained, I help my people clear out one more stalker with only some minor trouble, but then am shocked to find myself battling against my own father's corpse. This is not what I expected to fight when I woke up this morning, nor did I expect it to be such an easy battle, but he is a shambling corpse with only a spear to help him, so I guess I shouldn't be that surprised. I can't tell if killing my father's undead corpse scarred me worse, or has acted as a strange therapy. But I'll have to consider that later. It's time to focus on my still living family and save Dennis. Jay, ever loyal, is still waiting for me and follows me deep into the frog's territory. He helps me battle against the frog's cursed shaman leader, who incorporates dangerous new technology that allows him to jet around the battlefield. But since he's more obsessed with leaping around than actually lashing out at me, enough to prove really troublesome anyway, it's not hard to send him flying. I wish he was dead instead, but it doesn't take too long to break through the frog's mighty defenses and face the shaman once more so I can make that wish reality. If only I got here sooner. As it turns out, all the rats the frogs have been abducting have been experimented on, making them mindless slaves, sent in only to die at my hands. This is blood I'll never be able to wash off or forgive myself for. But I must do whatever it takes to slay the sinister shaman. Not too difficult when he gets so winded from flying all over, and his chemical bombs aren't too hard to block. Plus, like I said before, gun. After losing so many of my people, I'm not prepared when moments later, Jay is lost as well to the attacks of an iron frog. My outrage isn't going to kill the mechanical villain, but it will kill me if I'm not careful. It only takes a little to realize that staying as close as possible keeps me from being hit by the majority of its moves. I just have to be patient, keep moving into it, and I can wear it down as it mindlessly wastes its time missing me. Only to discover the creature is actually Dennis, now freed from control and ready to help me charge in to finish this wart. If only Jay could have lived to see it. Green Wart wouldn't be dethroned easily, even with Dennis's help, as the durable War Chief covers ground quickly, making it difficult to stay close to him, but also hard to keep my distance. Using all the ammo in my gun and a proper parry, I can rid Green Wart of his shield and armor, but he does me far worse by taking out Dennis. I can't afford to lose anyone else. Green Wart's attacks are unrelenting, and too many times I see myself fall alongside Dennis, but my brother has gifted me one last thing. A visual aid for where it is safest to stand. As long as I refuse to leave Dennis's side, I'll know exactly where to stand so I can avoid the majority of Green Wart's repetitive but quick attacks. This allows me to wear him down till he's weaponless. But, of course, that just means he resorts to vomiting. What is it with these sick frogs and always trying to throw up on me? Don't they have any semblance of dignity? Using his tongue to lash himself back and forth holds no threat to me as long as I stay with Dennis, and it's actually very useful for me to know when to dash in, strike twice, and dash out before he can act. In the end, Green Wart is a victim of his need to hop, and at long last my father's spirit can rest as I pop this hideous wart. Even more importantly, Dennis is alive! The frogs can trouble us no longer, and Dennis and I limp home to a hero's welcome. I must admit, being a hero does feel good, but after everything, I am just happy all my brothers are alive and well, together again with no imminent threat on the horizon. The crown doesn't seem to weigh anything now compared to all that I faced. I think that I could get used to the boringness of peace. Let's write the legend of Reggie, the king who did enough, and then spent the rest of his life peacefully surrounded by friends and family. Even better, write the legend of Jay the hero, The loyal and courageous mole that proved to be the truest friend of all. That's a true legend worth telling. Huzzah! After 985 deaths over 24 hours, 49 minutes of legendary pain, I've beaten all of Tales of Iron without armor on Bloody Whisker difficulty. I did have to wear a crown for a few minor fights in town, but thankfully it did give minimum defense. I still hated it. I truly hope you all enjoyed this adventure. I really struggled in these fights as it felt like the game demanded absolute perfection much of the time, but I'm happy for the whole experience. An extremely tough, but overall really good game. I'm off to take Reggie's lesson to heart and seek some peace of my own. Maybe. Other challenges always do call my name, and I must answer that call. You go enjoy some peace in my stead, and remember, be kind to all animals. Frog, rat, mole, bug, or other. They should have peace too. Even human. I'm rooting for you all. See you later, friends.